Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of, what's the week? Don't know, something. June something.
June 18th.
June 18th, 2012. I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Nilay Patel.
I don't think you are. That's Ross Miller.
I'm Ross Miller.
And Ross Miller is also with us. That is TC Sottek, or Sottek, as I like to refer to him. That's not actually how you pronounce his name. This is TC. You may know him from the internet website, theverge.com. He's
Great website.
One of our editors, one of our guys, one of our news guys, and now he's here in person, jamming. Nilay Patel. Oh, and also Tom Warren. I almost forgot. Tom Warren on the big screen back here.
Hello.
Live and direct from south of London. Does that place have a name?
South London.
South of London.
South London?
South London. South of London or South London?
Isn't that
South
France?
London.
South London. I don't know that area. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mock him. Now that Microsoft
keep it
guys are gonna be
simple.
like, look at the way he mocked Tom on the Vergecast. He really hates Microsoft.
Wow, that's a great transition to
I know, right?
this week's topic.
Anyhow, this is the Vergecast where we discuss the week in technology culture and regular culture, and it's hot as can be in New York. Don't come to New York if you're not in New York right now. Don't come here. The Vergecast this week is brought to you by IE9, Internet Explorer 9. It's the 9th version of Internet Explorer. It's the one that came just after Internet Explorer 8, and I think is vastly superior to that version.
And will be until IE 10.
Yeah, they're actually running really cool ads on the site that are like less. It's like less browser, more Verge.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea they were going to appear, and they appeared on the. I was like, oh, that's cool. They know who Internet Explorer ad guys know who we are. And then I took their money, and I spent it on drugs. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that. I would never do that because drugs are bad. But you know what isn't bad? IE9. Check it out. And
You just made it.
and there's the end of our sponsorship. Well, you know it happens.
It's a new tagline, IE 9, better than drugs.
Better than drugs. Gets you higher than drugs, and it's legal.
You're way in the cloud now.
I'm in the.
You're in SkyDrive.
I think I'm more like digging a hole. I don't think I'm in a cloud. Oh, I
Imagine what
see.
IE10's going to be like.
Yeah, you're gonna get so high into the cloud off of IE10, huh?
Mile high SkyDrive.
Snort a line of this URL bar. Snort a line of this preferences setting. I don't know what's happening.
Snorting it off a smart
I
glass.
ran over here from a meeting. I'm very hot. I'm out of it. I haven't eaten anything today, of course, as is my custom when I do the Vergecast. So big week this week, but largely a week about Microsoft. Mm-hmm. I mean, was there any other news this week besides Microsoft?
There's one or two things. We'll hit them toward the end. But
it does. But
there was the surprise press conference on Monday. We talked about it a lot last week.
Yeah, Surface.
Did anyone actually guess Tab?
None of us. Well, we said tablet, but
said
we
probably.
thought it was gonna be a media partnership. Anyhow, let's. Do you want to start with Monday?
Let's start with Monday.
All right. Microsoft did an event on Monday. Oh, geez. Are you kidding me? Nilay Patel is here. Much to everybody's.
All right, it was nice knowing everybody.
Much to everybody's.
TC, it was
chagrin.
glad to hear from. I heard so much.
So much
TC,
insight about
insightful.
Microsoft.
Are you
Skype.
serious? You're gonna roll now? Can we get a chair over here for Nilay or something? No.
You suck,
All right.
Sottek.
Listen, man,
Wow. This is weird.
you're fired.
Anyhow.
I'm in the chair now. You can't
Wow, that's true. He does have firing power in that chair. So-
firing authority.
I
Catch you
took
later.
your job by sitting in your chair on the Verge.
That's true. Yeah, I heard about that. So, are we going to actually put Nilay in now?
Yeah.
You don't want to be. You want
I mean,
You can stay for a little longer.
to just take it cool out over there.
yeah,
Go get some Subway. We
go
love
have a
Subway
Subway.
here.
Yeah, Subway. Eat fresh.
go have a 6-inch
Foot long, you mean?
foot long.
What's happening? By the way, there's we're gonna be some big comments on this. You know what? The small talk. Enough with this banter and small talk. It's getting a little old. Just talk about specs, okay? That's what all commenters sound like in my mind. So, Microsoft had an event on Monday.
Right.
I was there. Dieter was there. One of our shooter video guys, Jason Miller, was there, and they introduced a product called the Surface. And the Surface there's two members of the Surface family. There's the Surface for Windows RT, and there's the Surface for x86, or it's the Intel Surface, basically. And they're tablets. They have special covers that also have keyboards. They're called like Touch Cover and Type Cover, I believe are the names. And they have a built-in kickstand. They're a Microsoft-branded product. We don't. Presumably Microsoft is building them, via a Chinese factory.
We don't know, but they did.
Well, they're
tout
not going
up-
to be built in Redmond. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, they touted like their
They're
engineers
not, they're not
making
like
it.
we're going to have a new factory in Redmond where we build tablets. Anyhow, they did a big event. Steven Sinofsky was there. All the Steves were there. Steve Ballmer. Tom, you're our resident Microsoft fanboy / expert / sexpert. What is your take on the Surface? What do you think?
I think it was a surprise, but I think it surprised everyone. But I guess we were expecting
Except
a
for
tablet
Ina-
or,
except for
or
Ina
something
Fried,
similar, but not like an iPad competitor. So I think it's surprising to start off with. But yeah, I think it's good. They've obviously looked at this in a way where they've come at it and said, look, this is how we want to do a tablet, and this is how we want our OEMs to do a tablet. I think it's interesting that they obviously didn't do the price or the sort of when they're going to bring these things out. But
I mean, it's going to be a
they
while.
did mention. Sorry.
It's going to be a while, though. I mean, Windows 8 isn't launching till like end of the year.
Yeah, I'd expect it's going to be. I mean, from what I'm hearing is that mid-October for Windows 8. So
Yeah.
I'd expect they'd come along at the same time.
I've heard
I think
similar.
everything's pointing towards like October for like Windows Phone 8 as well. So
No, I think I've heard the same thing. I'm hoping they target my birthday, October 19th, because last year, October 19th was the launch of the Galaxy Nexus. And I'm hoping that we can make that kind of a day when cool stuff gets released. But we didn't get a chance to, at the event, we didn't get a chance to play with it very much. We did a little bit of a hands-on. I said this on the show last night, but they wouldn't let us really take photos, and they would hold it for you. They actually were yelling at people not to shoot video. I just saw Slash Gear shot video. Vincent is a little more clever than we are, I guess. He just got in there and went for it. But anyhow, we didn't really get a chance to use it. They showed it off doing a couple of things that we've already seen Windows 8 do.
Right.
It wasn't like it was doing something new that Windows 8 hasn't done before. It crashed on stage when they were demoing it.
I saw it for the browser actually.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that.
It looked like the whole tablet froze, and he went back to get another one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Windows 8 is not
I think-
finished.
Right. I mean that happens. Like I would not fault Microsoft for the fact that they have a beta product. It's not out yet.
I mean, my iPad crashes on a relatively regular basis, and it is well out of beta.
That's why they have backups just in case.
Right. No, I mean, I was actually astounded. I was using my iPad the other day, and like a couple of times in a row, it just full on froze and crashed in Mail and in Safari.
Wow.
First party apps. Anyhow, the point is technology is not perfect, but it is a little shocking when you see it fail out on stage. And I don't think Sinofsky was super psyched about that. But I don't think, there are people who are like, look, it couldn't even run the demo on stage. It's like, you know what? Shit happens.
Right.
I mean, we did. LeVar Burton was on the show last night, and we tried to show the Reading Rainbow app, and it was working fine in rehearsal. It was working fine in rehearsal, and then as soon as we opened it, it started like doing all kinds of weird stuff. So
I really wanted to actually hear him read the pirate story on stage.
But
actually.
I have to say, like the price point. There have been a lot of rumors about the price point today. Some people are like, it's going to be $600, the RT version. Like, if it is, by the way, this rumor comes from Digitimes, who is like the least reliable, not the least reliable, but one of the least reliable.
I mean, I wouldn't trust
sources.
anyone with prices right now because it's so far from release.
Right, it's ages off. I don't think they wanted to play their hand on pricing, and they may not. Like, frankly, in 4 months, prices on components change. Supply chains, there can be changes on supply chains.
That's like when you order the fish of the day, market price.
That's right, market price. I don't know if it's quite that serious.
I don't know what Ivy Bridge is going to go for.
Yeah.
In, 3
Well,
months.
I'm less interested in the Intel version and more interested in the RT version. Tom, what's your take? Do you have do you think which one, if you were going to go to a store and buy one of these today, what would you buy?
I think personally I'd want the Intel one just because you get the desktop apps.
Yeah.
So, because, I mean, at the moment, we haven't really seen a lot of the Metro apps because they haven't really opened up the store fully to developers, so we don't really know what's out there. So I think I'd still want a desktop app. So I think I'd want them anyway. So
let me
but obviously the Intel one's a bit bigger.
Let me ask you, Josh, why do you want the RT version more? Like, why you're just getting less functionality?
That's the problem with the RT.
I want a device with great battery life. I don't believe the Intel and the ARM version will have the same battery life. I want a device with great battery life. I want a device with a great tablet experience. By the way, I don't know if I'm going to buy either because I haven't used either one of them yet.
You will.
I will use them. Oh, I'll use them, but good. But I want something that's got great battery life, that can deliver a great tablet experience, and then has enough of I feel like enough of a desktop or a proper, like a regular OS experience that I can get some deeper level work done. And by the way, my work is not Photoshop. Occasionally a Photoshop, but mostly my work is writing and triaging email. That's basically what I do: write and do email all day, every day.
Sounds about right.
So when and I think that like the things that'll be really instrumental for that are the type cover, the touch cover, and having like a full featured browser.
So how much of the type cover and touch cover did you actually get to play with?
We got to touch them quite a bit, but we didn't get to use them like in conjunction with the Surface.
So you didn't get to see, the.
I mean,
typing
Stevie
efficiency
Batish afterwards brought out
The other Steve.
the other Steve. Yeah, there was another Steve. Brought out the type cover and the touch cover for us to play around with after everybody had kind of left, and we talked about it quite a bit. And he was like, very psyched about it. And I wrote a thing about this. And have you ever met Tom? Have you ever met Stevie Batish?
I haven't actually. No, I know of all the stuff he's done.
You know his
but
work,
never
yeah.
met him.
I actually, in the article I wrote about the Surface, I said, like, here's a guy at Microsoft who's doing some really innovative, crazy stuff, and he seems like he is a really engaged, smart, weird, funny guy, and I get a really good vibe from him. And there are people like that at Microsoft. I think people think of Microsoft as this company that, is just like, they don't know how to do stuff, execute the right way. They don't have good design sensibility. But I think like we've seen that change in Windows 8 and Windows Phone. And I think that if guys like that are more at the forefront of designing these products, I have a lot more faith in their ability to make great products and execute on them.
So I have to ask. So Stephen Batish, he's like things you saw at Research Lab. He's done a lot of Connect stuff, a lot of camera stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a camera on here. Did he do anything special with that? Do we know?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Like my crazy wild theory is that there's some Connect functionality and this little.
I don't think that's.
I would love it.
I don't think they're even remotely that's truly a wild fantasy.
I mean, it is a wild
I don't
fantasy.
think they're doing anything of the sort.
Which brings to my follow-up. What makes this special besides Microsoft's making it and there's no crapware?
What makes it special is that it's a hybrid, right? And if they could pull off the hybrid, I mean, to me, this is one of the other things I was thinking. I've seen these they showed us Windows 8 on like a demo, a Samsung tablet that's like clearly not designed for Windows 8. It just is a tablet that exists for Windows 7. And we've heard about this kind of hybridization that will occur, but we've never seen it illustrated clearly. And this illustrates clearly, and I feel like, Tom, you mentioned this a little bit. This is actually them kind of trying to light the fire. And Ballmer said as much to me. He was like, we want to prime the pump for Windows 8. And I know it's sexy sounding, but I do think this is part of this is like, they're like, hey, partners, and hey, world, like, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we envision as the thing. It's almost like a reference design in many ways.
Right.
To say, like, this is what
I
you
think
can do with
the
it.
important thing is that when they're releasing this, they're releasing it in limited online stores and then in their Microsoft stores, which kind of says to you, this isn't going to be at Best Buy or in your Walmart or anything like that. This is they're managing this in a small way to start off with. I literally think that they're doing this to say to OEMs, you need to up your game. You need to bring something like this out. Do it.
I think that's a real possibility.
I've always thought that should be Microsoft's strategy anyways. They, whenever I've gone into Best Buy, they don't know how to talk about Windows or Microsoft products or show you all the things that they can actually do. So
yeah,
I that's probably a good strategy.
No, it's funny. I was just having this conversation with somebody else, and retail is super important. I mean, the fact that they are not saying like we're going to put this. I mean, and maybe they will do brick and mortar, big box stores, but I think that they do. I think it kind of, you look at what they did with Windows Phone, not to say that it's been a success, but they tried to say, we have a vision. We want you to help execute on the partners. We want you to help execute on the vision, and we're going to do some things to kind of jumpstart that.
Right.
I think that's what they're doing. There's been a little kerfluffle on the internet, on Twitter, because people are speaking positively about this. Malik, for instance, was giving me some shit because I said that it was impressive on Bloomberg, and Gruber, I think, is up in arms about it. But people, I don't get the threat. Like, you got your Apple stuff, that's fine, it's great, everybody knows it's great. Microsoft showed off something that actually looks kind of impressive to me, and I feel like it's weird to judge it before anybody has had. Why not? It's like glass half full or glass half empty. You can look at it and go like, that's obviously going to be a piece of crap. or you can think like, oh, it could be good. You know?
Right.
And I do think what they've shown has potential to be good. I mean, I actually see a way that it could work for me in my life. And by the way, I'm not a Windows fan, in case you hadn't heard. I don't use Windows. I have a MacBook Air. You know, that's what I use as my laptop OS. And I have an iPad. And I've, gone through a number of Android tablets and never been happy with them. I have a lot of reservations about Windows 8, but for the first time, I see a product where I think I get the fit. I get where it fits. And it's like if Windows 8 doesn't suck and this product, the hardware doesn't suck, those are big dozens, by the way.
Right. I mean, so Metro is interesting because
cool.
Yeah, Metro is interesting because it's not only just a design aesthetic or aesthetic rather.
Yes, either one.
Yeah, aesthetic.
One
It's a hermit. Metro's a hermit.
Yeah.
It's not only that, but it's a strong strategy on Microsoft to unify their ecosystems in a way that they can leverage all three. You like Xbox? You might consider Windows Phone now, or the Surface.
I think the Surface more than the Windows Phone could be a place where that stuff is unified. Like,
right.
You've got, Xbox Music is now a thing. I assume that's encompasses video. I mean, right? Does that encompass their video offerings? Because they have Zune Video.
Idea.
Tom, do you know?
Does Zune Video even exist anymore? Or is it?
I mean, they have video on the Xbox. That is like a first-party video service.
Yeah.
Well, they had Zune on the Xbox for a while.
Right.
Yes.
I don't know if it's
no. But
called
what
Zune.
I'm saying is, like, what do they call? How are they transitioning video when if they have Xbox Music? What is the video component?
Yeah, they haven't talked about that at all. I mean, at E3 it was just Xbox Music, so I think the video stuff is like. I'd
I'm going to go out
it's
on a limb
coming,
here and say they're going to call it Xbox Video.
Yes, I think I agree with you. But the long and short of it is, by the way, it is boiling hot in this
It is
room.
really hot.
I mean, just terribly hot. But you've got Xbox Music, Xbox Video, or whatever. You've got their partner stuff. They're doing Hulu, HBO Go, Netflix, Smart Glass, interplay between the tablet and the Xbox. All those services across platform. You have the full ecosystem, the full offering. And in some ways, by the way, their music offering, they need to push it and promote it, and not as part of the Zune brand, is a pretty good music offering. I mean, and are they taking it cross-platform? Are they taking it?
It seemed to. Like, it looked
Tom,
like it was working.
Are
that
they
way.
taking Xbox Music to iOS and Android in any way?
They didn't officially confirm it at E3, but that's what we've heard. It basically that it's going to be browser based as well, so it'll be cross-platform.
So
have iOS and Android.
Okay,
apps.
so I think that you start to look at this, and it's actually like a pretty attractive offering. I mean, I use Audio to listen to music. I once in a while will download an album from iTunes, but that's Audio or Spotify is what I'm doing, and I listen to music that I've downloaded when I'm offline.
Right, and the Xbox brand itself is now an entertainment brand. It's not just gaming. It's anything you're doing. It's not work.
It's a great brand.
It is.
It's a good brand.
It's their big success
I think they've realised that it's their only brand that's really consumer focused and what consumers love. So they're really like honing in on that now.
Yeah. TC, are you leaving us? You just want to get out of this hot room, don't you?
Give up.
It's hot as hell.
I'm
here.
seriously envious. I might leave too.
You want to go?
You're just gonna leave
Let's go
me
get some
and Nilay
Subway.
here?
Can we do a more like a kind of chillaxed style podcast? Chillaxed, by the way, that's a word.
Just start taking off the clothes and just.
It is really.
It's pretty
pass
hot.
out on this one. Anyhow, I feel like I've been talking about Surface so much this week. Mm-hmm. Like I have. I'm sick of it.
What is happening here?
I'm panning it.
God, DC is
Surface.
ruined
You're really
sucks.
just stalling while
You know that?
Nilay gets settled.
Surface sucks.
understand.
Nilay Patel, everyone. Check him out. Back from marriage.
Garbage.
Show off your jewelry, Nilay.
Check it out.
Look at that. There it is.
It's very plain. I've
beautiful-
noticed that
Bing, bing.
Becky got like a beautiful ring that I purchased for her, and I received what appears to be a washer.
It makes sense that Nilay would be kind of like bummed about not getting the more beautiful diamond-studded jewelry.
You know, it's weird. I've never sat on this side of the room before. It's just
You haven't?
I mean,
Yeah.
if it really matters, you can
It
switch with
doesn't-
me.
It truly does
What's
not
it
matter
like?
to me.
What does it feel like?
I feel like Paul. I feel like I'm about to quit the internet. This
Don't
is
do it.
Generally, Paul's.
Please don't do it.
I will say this: Paul is the happiest person I know.
He
right
is like above and beyond.
Guys,
happy
it
right now.
turns out that being on the internet might not be good for our happiness.
I mean, I've never seen anybody who is happy.
He's riding bikes. He's dancing with sticks. He's
It is a little annoying, I have
Yeah.
to say.
dancing. With
So,
sticks.
dancing with sticks.
Tom, so we also
Yeah.
had some other announcements from Microsoft this week. Windows Phone
Oh my
8
God.
Can you take us through, Tom? Take us through Windows Phone 8 and the surrounding announcements. Can you just give us an overview?
Yeah, so they finally unveiled it. We'd obviously seen a lot of leaks around the Skype integration and the hardware support, and they basically confirmed all those leaks. So there's dual core, there's quad core. Skype's going to be sort of integrated in but not built in. So you have to download an app and then it'll extend into like the People Hub and the dialer.
And
stuff.
They made a point. They made a point to say that the VoIP integration is going to be. They're kind of introducing a bunch of APIs that let you plug into essentially the phone system with your. So if I made a separate VoIP app that was not Skype, I could essentially have Skype type integration.
Yeah, exactly. And
to the phone.
I think it will come up as a dialer, so it'll look the same as if you were receiving a regular call.
So
which is pretty cool. I mean,
Google
you
Voice
don't get that on other platforms.
No. That's going to be a real. That's going to be. The carriers are going to love that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I think they call it RCSE on the carrier side, so they can integrate all their services in and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And so what else? So what else? New home screen.
Yep, new home screen. So the start screen. They didn't really show off a lot of the UI, like if there's any other UI changes, but the big ones are start screen. So you got like small tiles, and medium tiles, and large tiles now. You always used to have medium and large, but these smaller ones sort of basically fit into like the size of a medium tile. So you get 4 split down.
So Tom, I have to ask. So all apps will have all 3 sizes. Is that the case?
Yeah, so if you've got an app at the moment, it will have a small size and a medium size. It won't have large because the large tiles were only reserved for OEMs.
Oh, really?
First Microsoft stuff. But if a developer goes back in and updates their app, they'll be able to have a large tile as well. But Microsoft's sort of generating small tiles automatically.
You can do a lot more with a large tile, presumably. I mean, you could display a lot more information in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that'll be interesting.
Function, it's still pretty much the same. It flips over and there's live information, but you can obviously display a lot more.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in general, this seems like they're really bringing a lot of features, up to parity with the competition now. I mean, did they talk about multitasking at the event and how are they going to handle multitasking differently or make it? I'm wondering if there are any changes there.
They didn't, and I think that is one of the big things that they need to improve. So the multitasking is there. They obviously introduced that in Mango, but it requires you to hold the back button down to access an interface and then to go back to the app. And it's just not very. If you're just a regular consumer, you probably would never notice it was there. And arguably, you probably don't notice the multitasking bar on iOS and that sort of stuff. But you shouldn't be forced to use that. You should just be able to hop in and out of tiles and have the app.
Tom, have you found that thing useful though? Because like it only goes back like 5 or 6. Sometimes there's multiple panels for each single app. You can't take and close them individually.
And he's right about the icon versus the tab or whatever. So hopefully they're going
to
use that.
Tom, I was under the impression that they're adding some kind of iOS style APIs for backgrounding tasks, right? Where you can if you have a VoIP app, it can keep running in the background.
Yeah, so they've extended them so the location stuff will work outside, in the background a lot better.
Right.
But they didn't really go into the multitasking stuff too deeply, in terms of how you actually multitask.
So here's my biggest question with Windows Phone 8.
Yes.
They made a big deal, shared code base with Windows 8, bringing over a lot of features.
Yeah, we didn't get to this.
But that's kind of the next big thing. I mean, that is the big thing with Windows Phone 8.
Right.
And then at the end, Joe Belfiore was like, this is how it's going to help people. And I found myself wondering, well, you haven't actually explained how it's going to help people, right? I mean, I understand, I'm a big nerd, so I understand that moving into a more modern and unified code base is probably great and offers you flexibility. Vlad wrote a great editorial about DirectX and making games better.
Yeah, which is a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
But that kind of, to me, is like we're making this huge change to the foundation of Windows Phone. And then getting from that to this is going to be great for consumers wasn't really made very clear to me.
Right.
And Tom, I'm wondering if you kind of have a better sense of how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're obviously supporting native code. So in terms of if you're using an app, it's obviously going to be a lot better performance. I mean, I think one of the things I've had complaints about, and I know Josh has, is the scrolling and just generally the apps aren't too responsive sometimes. A little bit,
yeah.
Just because they're running on that layer, that Silverlight layer.
Yep.
So they're pretty. That's going to be there. That all the apps are going to be compatible. But if you're a developer and you just want to specifically target native code in Windows Phone 8, then you can do that. And I'm expecting the apps are going to be a lot better because of that. So, and obviously with games and DirectX, people can port their Windows games across the Windows Phone. I mean, it's not going to be you can just click and it's done, but it's going to be a lot easier than it was before.
It's incredible that that Android, Microsoft, and Palm did the same exact thing where they were like, we're going to offer this way to develop apps that's really easy and you can get right into it and no problem, and without really like native.
Yeah,
right.
Paul talked about this for years.
Yeah.
Remember?
And Apple did it right out of the gate, and you know what? Their apps were amazing right out of the gate. There were some clunkers, obviously, but they had some really impressive stuff early on. And all of these platforms have been like taking forever to get to this point where it's like, yeah, you can target native, and you can do much deeper, much better stuff that's going to like feel better for the user and actually be more functional.
But I mean, with that said, I mean, Microsoft is doing it right though, because there are a ton of Windows 8 developers already, or a ton of Windows developers already. Right. And now they're making it super easy just to port it over.
Is it super easy to port from between Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8? That was my
understanding
of
it.
They did some demos of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like
because I think that's going to be a big thing. It's like you can make an app for Windows 8, which will have millions and millions and millions and millions of users automatically because people are going to upgrade or people are going to. And they want, by the way, I talked to a rep from the company at the Surface event, and he reiterated to me, he was like, if at all possible, we want people developing for Metro.
Yeah.
Right.
They are not pushing people to develop for the desktop.
Not at all.
They're pushing developers to make Metro apps. My impression is, and by the way, I don't know how that works, because does that mean that you can do native code in Metro now? Explain to me how that works. I thought Metro was all about HTML5.
Well, I think that's the difference between Windows Phone 8, at least at this point.
Yeah, but that's stupid.
Right.
Like, if you're going to do a game, don't they have DirectX support in Metro? They do, right?
On ARM?
Yeah, on ARM.
I don't think so.
Tom?
How could they not?
I don't think they do. I'm not too sure.
But how could they not if they're doing it on the phones?
Well, I mean, the two platforms are different.
But you can definitely do native code in Metro, though.
Yeah.
In Metro for desktop?
No. As in Metro, like...
in Windows 8.
Basically, you can code obviously HTML5, and they support all like C++ and all that stuff just wrapped into their runtime.
I mean, whatever Metro is now, I mean, it's going to keep growing. You know,
right. I guess my point is, and by the way, I'm not pretending that I know all of the details of this. I'm not a developer. I do not code. But my ultimate question is, I'm a developer. I'm going to make a 3D game.
Yeah.
That will run on both Windows Phone 8 and Windows 8. Like as you can see, clearly Mac app developers are taking the stuff they did on iOS and simply porting it to the Mac App Store.
Right.
It's clear that the port time does not require a lot of. It's not long, and it doesn't require a ton of. I mean,
it's not arduous, right?
It's not arduous.
It's effort. Yeah.
Thank you. But so I wonder if they're going to offer the same thing, because I think that's kind of a big deal.
Right. So I think the story. I mean, they showed some games. Unless I'm was dreaming, I'm pretty sure Microsoft showed games on Windows 8 being quickly ported to Windows Phone 8.
Yeah, they did. They showed how it would be easier, basically, and that people would obviously have to change assets and stuff to target.
I know you guys talked about Surface right before with TC, but what I'm getting from all this from Microsoft is they have Metro. I think the desktop is Microsoft's legacy environment.
Yeah,
I think they're doing everything but saying it explicitly. Right.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah. And based on talking to people there,
I've heard it as well.
They're not even trying to hide it to me. Right. It almost seems like they're just saying obviously.
But so to me, all these events, all these endless barrage of Microsoft events.
Are there any more this month? I'm really getting tired.
To me, I think Surface and Windows Phone 8 are a bigger bet on the future of computing being touch and tablet and looking like this than actually anything Apple is doing. Right? Apple's still making radically new kind of laptop computers.
They are in a half step away from where Apple is, in the sense that Apple has yet to say, here's the new MacBook Air with a touch screen and you can interact with it like an iPad. which is essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're saying, here's our new computers, our new OS, and we want you to interact with it like a tablet.
Yeah.
And we want you to build tablet apps for it.
Yeah.
And kind of, obviously the Intel stuff is legacy support. That is my vibe that I'm getting from them. So
it's rough. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, because there's a lot of, that was an empire.
My impression is they're like, don't worry, enterprise.
Yeah.
Don't worry, people who need some specific app that you ran on Windows 7 application, you'll have it. You just buy the Intel version.
Yeah.
Right. But for the broader like consumer, I feel like if they do Surface at $500, which if they do it any more than that, it's a complete miss in my opinion. If they do the RT version, the ARM version, suddenly it's like, well, you get a full computer if you need it.
Yeah.
You got this tablet stuff, and this is where we want consumers to head. I mean, I feel like they should have almost done like separate names.
But that's the thing we're still trying to wait to see is like, what are the RT apps?
Right.
We don't know yet. If correct me if I'm wrong, DirectX is still not Windows RT. Once they get that ported over,
but how could they have DirectX on Windows?
But they're separate platforms.
I know, but they share. They share.
So we're told. I mean, who knows?
Tom, what were you going to say?
Time is finite.
I was going to say that I think the naming of them was really confusing because Windows they got Surface for Windows RT and Surface for Windows 8 Pro, and like as a consumer going into a store, okay, they're obviously only going to be at the Microsoft stores initially, but who knows from then on? But wouldn't it just be easier just to call them Microsoft Surface and Microsoft Surface Pro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
But that implies
why
the problem there
involve
is
Windows RT?
But Pro implies that it's better, and I don't know that the Intel version is necessarily better.
If it can run DirectX apps,
you're still calling it Pro though.
Yeah, but but like Microsoft
I think it
Surface,
is better in the sense that it's obviously got the touch and the pen input on there, and it obviously supports all the legacy apps. So if you're going, it depends what you're as a consumer you're going in, and you want that touch, and maybe you want those legacy apps.
That's right. There's no pin input for the Windows Surface Basic or whatever.
Surface
Basic.
Surface for Windows RT.
Surface Silver.
Right.
Well, but I don't think that's a big. I mean, are the Galaxy Tab 10?
It just feels arbitrary.
Pen input
honestly.
flying off the shelves.
I'm buying that Galaxy Note, man. That big one.
Saying that DirectX is in Windows RT.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm not looking at chat, but people are saying that DirectX is in RT.
Indeed, they are.
And support in Metro.
Very loudly.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
so-
no,
sorry,
okay, good.
we weren't listening.
So that solves my one question, which is the moving those apps back and forth. I mean, essentially, you're making them for.
Yeah.
You have the possibility to make them.
But I mean, this whole thing. I mean, the whole thing with Microsoft is like maybe these products will suck. Like we don't know.
I mean,
you
I think
barely got a chance to play with.
What
them.
do you do? What do you do? You have to give the enterprise and you have to give legacy customers something, right?
Yeah.
There's no choice. But then how do you stay attached to what you're giving them? I guess they could have. I mean, they could have waited another cycle.
Yeah.
And done like an ARM, like we're moving to this platform and it's not going to have legacy stuff. And you just, that is the kind of what Apple did with, I mean, even Apple had a solution, right? They had, what was the thing called where you could emulate?
Rosetta.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So you could do OS 9 in OS 10. And it worked reasonably well for most of the things you had to do. I mean, they had a real solution. This is kind of a solution.
Hold on.
There
that
were
was
two
classic.
things.
And then Rosetta was you could run the old code on right?
Oh, was that Universal Code?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No,
Look.
Universal was something different. Universal was it had.
Oh, that was for
if
the
you had.
Rosetta was PowerPC.
That was for
Right,
Intel,
yes.
the PowerPC to Intel, and then the other
that's
one
right.
was what was the one where it was like essentially emulating OS 9?
That was classic. That was just called
So
classic.
called classic?
Yeah.
But so the difference though was like Mac OS 9 did not have a huge enterprise back end. Like a lot
Mac
of people were
OS
using
9
it.
had no users.
Yeah. So I mean,
There were
whatever.
like 10 people in the world who used Macs. I mean, but you have to remember at the time. Again, Windows dominant 95% of the market, whatever,
Yeah.
even more
Right.
maybe than it might have been 98%. Not that many people had Macs. They were completely obscure. You didn't see people with MacBooks out. There were no MacBooks. There were no, I mean, nobody used them. So it was a little bit easier.
Right. It's going to be
if
many generations
This is like
until-
telling the entire world that they have to like drive on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
It's like making everybody British.
It's very wrong.
Can you imagine that? It'd be horrible.
You know, the British tried that.
Be
The right side of the road. Yeah, yeah.
The history of my culture is literally the British trying to make everybody British.
Yeah.
And
look how it turned out. You're okay.
I was saying they had an empire. I don't know if you remember.
And it was all for.
I don't actually. I wasn't alive.
Well, look how it turned out. It's been there's a lot of competitors for the empire.
The empire.
For
Wow.
the empire.
Yeah, and
a lot of competition for the empire.
Yeah.
And now there really are no empires.
No, except for the one. You know, the new American empire.
Oh, the new American. Yeah, it's such an empire. We're in great shape.
Let's get this back.
We're in great
a
shape
few
right
steps,
now.
just a few.
No, you look. I look at all this stuff, and it's the thing with Surface and the thing with the phone is they've got enormous. You know, this rumor that they're not going to do 3G or 4G versions of the tablets.
Yeah.
I think is very interesting. Microsoft kind of has bad relationships with the carriers right now. And so the phone, you know, they've got to get the carriers on board to make the phone successful. The tablets, millions of questions about the tablets, kind of wide open. But all I see in all of these announcements is Microsoft is like, we have to change. And like, we don't know what the end results are necessarily going to be or what they look like.
Yeah.
But they are more committed to like radically changing how their business works than any company I've really seen. You know, Apple has done, they're really great at these like, here's this revolutionary product and we'll incrementally improve it. Like at a relentless pace, right? And they're doing a great job of
Incremental at a relentless pace.
That's true. They just keep making these little changes. Like
I don't know if I'd call the pace relentless.
Every single year.
Like relentless is I mean
but even OS 10 now is on a yearly upgrade cycle. That's hard to match. And they get all of their user base to get to that new version very quickly, which is pretty. No one else.
And they're
has been
making
able to
far
match.
less sweeping changes. I mean, Microsoft is at the point where Apple was.
2007. I mean, I would say with the launch of the iPhone.
No, they're at the point where Apple was with OS 10.
You think so?
Yes, I do think so. They're in the process of changing the platform that their OS is designed for, the hardware that their OS is designed for,
and they're changing the processor.
That's what I mean, and changing the fundamental way the OS works and the way you think about doing things in it. I mean, that's what happened with OS 10, right? I mean, they came in and said, we have this legacy piece of software. It's old, it's clunky, it's bloated. We got to do something different. And by the way, make a point of these guys getting up on stage and saying, we've lowered the requirements for Windows 8 versus Windows 7. Right? Isn't that what they're saying?
All the time. But they said it for Windows 7 too.
Well, right. So they're making it less bloated. They're making it run on lower powered processors and run well. And they're also trying to upend the whole way you interact with it.
Yeah.
To me, they're at the point where Apple was 10 years ago, or however long it's been since they announced OS 10. The difference is the break is, you know what? It's about the same. I mean, they're still going to upset a lot of users. They're still trying to cling to some legacy support, which is going to be done in a ham-fisted way. But they might have done it with just the Intel stuff, right?
Yeah. Right.
They're doing because Apple didn't go.
They didn't
from
build
Power,
two sets.
They had PowerPC and they were on PowerPC, and then at some point later they were like, "We're going to switch to Intel.
Yeah.
We're going to switch to x86." But they didn't do both at the same time.
Right.
And Microsoft's trying to do both at the same time. They're
both at the same time while simultaneously doing the old thing as well. I mean,
No,
there's a lot
that's
going
what I'm
on.
saying.
And that to me is pretty muddled, right?
It is muddled, and I don't know. And you know,
Tom, I'm curious. I mean, you've been watching Microsoft for a long time. I mean, is my sort of feeling about this correct? Is this the most change the company has gone through?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest change is the whole Metro stuff, right? Because that hasn't been tested in any sort of large mass volume way.
Right.
I mean, they've obviously had Windows Phone out there, but it hasn't done like majorly
it's
well.
more or less been shot dead.
And also,
Windows Phone 7.
And also, Windows Phone is that's the entire experience, right?
Right.
The entire experience is.
You can't skip out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no
Windows Mobile.
right, back to a desktop mode or something. So it is like a huge gamble, right? To say to all of your users, guess what? No more start menu.
Right.
You have this new thing.
It's also a huge gamble to say to your OEM partners, we don't think you're going to make good enough hardware for this version of our OS.
Right.
We're going to start doing it on our own.
Well, they must have seen Computex. So we're trying to.
I think it's definitely a call to, they're standing up. They're saying, we're awake, and Google and Apple, we're coming after you, sort of thing. I think that Surface event was very much like that.
Right. You know what's the most awesome about the Surface tablet though? There's no crapware. Hopefully.
Well, we don't know.
You know, it's actually really funny because I just went
that.
and did that whole piece at Vizio, which is great. You know, and it's funny because that to me feels like that's what the Wintel promise was always supposed to be, right? That's like you get a really good systems integrator who pulls like the best parts and components from all these other vendors. They take the software from Microsoft. They make a beautiful design. Yeah. Here's a computer that isn't, you know, completely screwed up.
Yeah.
And it's like that happened right at the moment where Microsoft is like, this totally isn't working.
Yeah.
Like, and I asked them about it.
Well, but we may see a rise of certain players that are doing it better than others.
Right.
You know? I mean, you can only do the same thing for so long.
Yeah.
Until, I mean, I don't know if it's working. PC sales are down. I think consumer confidence in brands like Dell and HP are probably pretty low right now.
Yeah.
I think they're looking at brands like...
No, I mean, Dell has completely become an enterprise company. If you look at the way they talk and the way they act now, they're not running around trying to get consumers the way they used to.
You know, a few years ago, Asus was not a brand that anybody ever heard of at all. And now, you know, they're making some pretty decent products, some pretty nice-looking products and putting them in stores.
Right.
I mean, you see Samsung making some pretty nice laptops. I do think you're going to see a shift in who's making what. Yeah. And I also think Microsoft may drive may dictate some of that stuff, right?
Well, I mean, I think that Microsoft, you don't just make one. What was the quote? You want to prime the pump? Is that what Ballmer said to you?
Yeah.
I don't think you make one tablet and call it the Surface and say, okay.
Well, they can say it's a family of products.
Right, but I think it's a family of products that will persist. Right? I don't think they're going to say, we prime the pump.
If they have any success.
Well, and even if you don't, I mean, it's their Nexus. I mean, it may not do as well, but this is what you should be striving for.
Samsung, like, we want you to make the next Surface.
Why not?
It's a good idea. All right, so we want to try to keep this show tight today. So we were thinking about taking some phone calls we're getting towards the end of our hour. I know it seems like it's flown by, and I know we started 10 minutes late, so we're going to go 10 minutes over, but I want to keep it tight to an hour. So
I also have some ranting about review scores to do.
Oh yeah, you're involved. Well, I was. Did you see Malik? What is up with him?
I don't know, but can I just say while we're
review scores?
Yeah. Can I just pull this in real quick?
Yeah.
Every little bit of success that we've had has come from treating our readers like they're thoughtful people who are smart.
Yes.
And any criticism that is directed at us that is founded in people are stupid and you should treat them like they can't understand more than two pieces of information will fall on completely deaf ears.
To you.
To me. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's a score and there's a review. You can read the both together and synthesize the two things. And I trust that people are capable of doing it.
And I also think there are people who will skim something and look at the score and go, I have a sense of what this is like, and I don't need to, you were arguing about the Lytro score.
Lytro, I mean, that is the dumbest argument that I've ever been involved in.
But, Lytro is like a ridiculously revolutionary product. Like, if you know anything about technology and like actually look at a lot of different technology, I think a lot of this comes from like the myopic viewpoint of people who don't actually encounter that much technology, and are focused on very simple things and look for beacons of things. I think that's like why people are like shocked that people are saying positive things about the Surface, and they're like, yeah, but they didn't say a price, and it's just vaporware, and it's like you don't know how the technology industry works or what Microsoft has to do.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not releasing their software until October. They can't release a product until October. They literally physically can't give you something because their software isn't done yet. Just the way Apple won't give you a product with Mountain Lion until Mountain Lion is ready. But Mountain Lion and Lion are the same thing with a couple of cosmetic changes, essentially. This is like a completely new world for them. They have a tablet OS suddenly, which they've never had before. But so there's that. And there's also the fact that there are reasons Microsoft wouldn't want to announce the price right now, because the landscape can change. Because another company may come out. Google may announce a tablet for $300 or $200. They may announce a $200 7-inch one and a $500 10-inch one or whatever. And and Apple and Microsoft are going to look at what they're doing and go, well, let's evaluate what where we are in the marketplace. So I think that there are a lot of reasons. I think it's weird to the thing about the review scores, I mean, we've heard about this. We did them at Engadget. We added review scores. After we left, they took them away. When I look at their reviews now, I don't know actually know where they fall on it. Like I can read it, and sometimes it's so vague that I don't get a sense. I mean, you talk about people making calls on things. I had a Twitter conversation with somebody earlier today, and it was like, you guys need to say, what's the best? And it's like, well, the Galaxy Nexus and the iPhone are both the best of their breed.
Yeah,
they're for different users. They're very, very good for different reasons. I'm not going to say like the iPhone is just the better one. That's all there is to it, because that's not the world we live in.
Yeah.
It's like saying like which John Carpenter movie is better, the Thing or Prince of Darkness. They're both really good movies.
But it's The Thing.
No,
it's quite clearly
to me Prince of Darkness. So there you have it.
I mean, or They Live, really.
They Live is amazing.
Also
amazing. I mean, they're also good. Even in the through In the Mouth of Madness. If you haven't seen In the Mouth of Madness, by the way, no, seriously, really, really good movie. It will mess you up bad. Don't watch it on acid. That's my suggestion.
I mean, also, the thing about
don't watch anything on acid. Because drugs are bad.
You should watch an IE9. It's better than drugs.
Watch it in a browse. You weren't here for the
clearly not.
The
thing about our review program with that stuff is
like, what is going on? I was like, why am I? What's happening?
He's high on IE9 right now.
Can you hear us, Tom?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Phone calls.
I've turned you down. So
that's smart.
But one last thing about reviews.
Yes.
I mean, our reviews program, Joanna coined the meme. Can you coin a meme?
Nope.
Created the meme.
Maybe.
For $200 more, you can get the MacBook Air.
Yeah.
And our reviews program is all about telling you if you should buy something or not.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people are fixated on.
Also,
we write thousands of words.
Also,
in these things.
reviews aren't always about here's what you should do at the end of it. I mean, if you've ever read a review of anything, you know that they're not many of them, and many of the best reviews don't end with, and this is what you need to do next.
Yeah.
They end with, here's information about this thing. Here's the good stuff. Here's the bad stuff. And we think you're smart enough to take the score, to take our breakdown of the score, which has multiple factors, to take the
all this information.
The words that we wrote, the photos that we took, the video that we did, and make an educated decision based on that information. If you're a person who thinks that our readers can't make an educated decision, you're stupid. Because they can. And if you think that an average reader can't make an educated decision, you're wrong.
Right.
That's what
I'm saying.
I trust in readers to be able to make an educated decision, to understand what a 7 on the Lumia review means. Of course, that's a bad example.
That's a terrible example.
But I think when if you look at the 8.6 Galaxy Nexus review that I did for the GSM, the international version, and the 8.6 that I did for the iPhone 4S, you can understand where the good stuff and the bad stuff is in both of those. You can look at the scores and go, well, now I know which one I want to get.
Yeah.
Right. Or I'm going to get one of these. I'm not entirely sure that one will be better than the other because they have both very favorable reviews, and I'm sure there will be a ton of stuff to like. It's not like a review isn't just like give me a black or white answer right now. It's tell me something.
The review
is
designed in modular. It's designed in layers. If you have 2 seconds, you get a score. You have 5 seconds, you get the score plus the good plus the bad.
Right.
You have the wrap up after that. If you have time, you've got the whole thing.
If you have 5 minutes, you watch the video and get a feel for that.
No, when we started the Verge, and Joanna and I and all of us were having the first conversations about the reviews program, it was always we want to have multiple reviews. We want to write 3 reviews.
Are we taking calls?
Do it.
Should I take
Take some
calls?
calls.
We should.
I don't even know what these calls are for.
We promised calls. We should take them.
Caller, you're on the air. Nope, you're not on the air. I lied. Are we taking calls? 888-418-4074. What are we taking calls on?
Windows, Microsoft, Life.
Windows, Microsoft, Life. You can talk about reviews.
Assign Ross.
Review scores. What?
Euro 2012.
Euro. No, I don't want to talk about sports.
Dude, I mean, there's some sports nerds out there.
I have no interest in discussing sports. No offense, Tom.
Yeah.
He's here.
Hi, Tom.
I'm not high on i10 or any other variant.
Tom, you're our first caller. How you doing?
He's writing a post right now.
Tom and I are in the Verge Weddings Club this year, man.
Everybody's getting married.
Yeah.
You,
Tom,
Tom,
Sean.
Ross. Wow.
Sean is getting married in August.
Sean Hollister is getting married in August. That is true. What?
Sean's birthday today.
Oh,
It's
Sean
Sean.
Hollister's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Please send best wishes to Sean Hollister. He's on Twitter. His Twitter handle is Starfire.
Oh God.
559.
2584.
2258.
2258. Starfire 2258. God, Sean, can you just be Sean Hollister?
It's a reference. I can't remember what it is.
Starfire.
Yeah, it's a reference to him being 13 years old and coming up with an AIM handle.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name and what do you want to chat about with us?
Hi, this is Faraz.
Yeah, Faraz.
Hi, guys. First of all, congratulations to Nilay.
Oh, thanks. It was a lot of fun.
I wanted to speak about what you were talking about, the reviews. And I noticed that Engadget recently, they did away with the review scores entirely.
Yes.
And
yes.
I mean, I know most people are intelligent enough to know that what they want from a device. Like I usually will buy a device based on what my needs are, and I'll buy it even if it has a 7 and the competing device has a 8.9.
So okay. So you you don't like scores, or you do like scores? It doesn't have to be. By the way, does not have to be a black or white answer. You can like them for some reasons and not like them for others.
No, I like scores. I think the breakdown of scores on the Verge is perfect because you can see exactly what the score was given for.
Yeah.
And I think they help a lot. But I think people are smart enough to know that the score isn't everything, and what you want out of a device could be, like your preference could be for a 6 device over a 7.5 device, and it doesn't matter on the score. But the scores are good, and they're there just for our convenience.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. When you read Engadget reviews now, do you still feel like you're getting utility out of them, that you can read it and know, kind of look at it and say, I know how the reviewer felt about this? I mean, obviously, some are more strongly worded than others, but do you feel like that not having the score there takes anything away, or I'm just kind of curious?
Well, initially, I thought it was a great idea, and I thought the reviews, it made you want to actually put more effort into understanding them and looking for the information instead of just skimming them over. But I realized that over time, without the review score, it kind of gets really, really vague as well. So you don't really know where the person is leaning, and sometimes reviews are really, really ambiguous in their conclusions. So in those circumstances, the score really helps.
Well, that actually was one of the things that I remember when we were first thinking about the score, is that we would write these long reviews at Engadget. We would write these long reviews, and it wasn't like, go buy this thing right now, because that's not, in my opinion, not the kind of review that I write. Is not like, if it's something that's just so incredible, I say just go, don't hesitate. But when you think about the factors, like if you're talking about a phone, all the things that a person has to consider, what carrier are you on, and how much do you want to spend at the outset, and do you need LTE or not, and do you prefer a more complex interface or a less complex interface? Do you like the way Motorola designs its phones? Like all these different factors. And so you come up with this conclusion that's like, here are the things that I thought were really great about this, and here are the things I think are big problems.
Right.
And when you do that, when you've got all of those factors, and then you kind of conclude, sometimes is kind of really helpful to be able to say, and on our scale, amongst all of the other competitors in this space at the current time, here's where it fits on the scale. Yeah. And that is, like, to me was always helpful when I was reading reviews elsewhere. Was, okay, I know how you feel about it, and I get all of the pros and cons, but like, where does it kind of sit on that scale?
And then when we were building the Verge reviews program, we added all these other categories. Yeah. Because the overall score, fine, it contains a lot of information. Yeah. But then, maybe I want a phone with a better camera.
Right. One of the complaints that we heard on a regular basis at Engadget was, what does your score mean? Like, can you explain better what the score means? And so we made a point to say, let's break down the score, and we also have explanations for all of those pieces and why, how we factor. So, all right, we're going to move on. Thank you for calling in, though. Very interesting comments. On line three, hello, you're on the air. What is your name, and what do you want to chat about? I understand it's Microsoft related.
Hi, I'm Jamie. Yeah, I'd actually like to talk a little bit about the Surface and just how, one, I'm really excited, but I probably won't buy one, and two, why I think it's really smart that they actually did a Microsoft-branded hardware for a couple of reasons. But, I think the very first thing that really struck me was how big of a splash it actually made. I remember going on to Reddit that day on Monday, and the very first thing in all of Reddit was Microsoft introduces the Surface.
Yeah.
And like, when's the last time a Microsoft announcement ever made that big of a splash?
You know, I can actually to add to that. If I'm not mistaken, and I haven't looked at the final numbers, that Microsoft Day may have been our biggest traffic day ever.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Or it's just behind the iPad launch event. Like so close, it's almost a rounding error. So interesting that Microsoft can, because we've done Microsoft events where we saw the traffic was like, well, it was a little bit of a bump, but it wasn't crazy. But people were really, well, first off, there was a lot of mystery. So that helps.
It's amazing how well that impromptu invite actually worked in their favor.
Yeah, it's shocking. Yeah. But you only get to pull that so many times.
You know it's going to happen again. Just be ready.
I am. Yeah, but next time it's going to be like, we're announcing new content partners for the Xbox.
Next time it's going to be a Ross and Nilay joint.
If they better buy Hulu next time, I'm keeping to that bet.
So why won't you buy one? Why does it seem like not something that you want?
Well, one, just because I think, to me, Windows 8 looks really cool, but doesn't look that useful. And I don't own an iPad either, but it's like, if I went to the store, from what I know about Windows 8, and which is, little at this point, but from what I know about Windows 8 and what I know about iOS, I was like, oh yeah, definitely getting the iPad. One, just because it's got much bigger ecosystem, but as well, it's like, even if I get like the x86 version of the tablet, like I don't care about legacy apps. Like I have an actual PC that I like, and I just wish I still feel like they're dipping their toes in the water.
Yeah.
And I feel like they just need to jump in, and it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
With this sort of paradigm, the two tablets.
Yeah, I said this. This is the thing that Ohm was saying, because I said that it was impressive. When I went on Bloomberg, I said it was impressive, but I said what?
No, that whole conversation was infuriating.
It's insane. Well, first off,
it wasn't a review.
He has some weird bone to pick with me. I don't really know why, but
well, you're much more attractive than
it wasn't a review. But the point is, I said it was impressive, but I also said, to your point that you just made, to execute on this, to make me buy, you have to have apps. You got to have developers on board.
Yeah.
You have to have the ecosystem in place. And right now, Microsoft doesn't really have any of that. They have their Windows ecosystem, but they do not have a tablet ecosystem. They do not have the apps. But I'll tell you this: if you showed me the Surface, the RT version, and it was, as buggy or bug-free as the iPad, and had the same apps, but did what the Surface does, and in the way that it does it versus the iPad, I would buy the Surface. If it had the same apps, and the same level of polish, all things being the same, I would go for the one that also has like a full desktop environment and a browser, and has this interface, which I think is more useful at a glance than what the iPad offers, which is a very big, dumb interface for accessing information.
Yeah, it's people love. Let's keep that. But
no, people love it because it's straightforward. Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing I like about the Surface is obviously the hardware as well. The annoying thing about when I travel is I always take a laptop and an iPad.
Yeah.
I'd love to just be able to take one.
So
I can't see that Apple are going to do that.
By the way, I'm sure people will. I know they don't want people to make ARM desktop apps, but I'm sure there will be a development community that starts making ARM desktop apps.
Well, they're locking that down, right?
They're locking.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
They also really
restrict that down.
They also lock down the iPhone, and it can be jailbroken.
So here's what's actually really funny, Tom, about your point is I was home for the wedding. I was at my sister's house, and my brother-in-law is an IT consultant.
I met him.
He's great.
We chatted for a while.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
And he was unboxing like his 50th iPad keyboard case. And my sister was like, why do these keep coming to our house?
No, I see these on planes all the time. People are like,
and he's like, well, I have to test them because all of my enterprise clients, he works for a lot of law firms. All these attorneys, they want the iPad. But then they have to run Citrix to get the Windows desktop remotely on their iPad, and they need
a keyboard.
And I was like, but wait, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you have a keyboard, but you need a mouse. And he's like, yeah, they all pair their iPhones with the Citrix app, and they use the iPhone screen as a mouse. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That sounds like hell on earth.
And he's like, this is enormously popular.
There's also one thing we haven't talked about with the Surface is that it obviously supports USB and USB keys.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing for consumers when they go in and they go to look at the iPad and then they say, can you plug in something to it?
Does it have an SD slot?
I
don't know.
I think it does, yeah.
Does it? It should.
I think both of them do.
I think it's still soon enough in the process they can add one. Microsoft, please add an SD slot. All right, caller, thanks for calling in. We're going to take a couple more, and then we're going to move on. Thank you. Caller, you're on the air. What is your name, and what do you want to talk about?
Hey, this is Dan.
Hey, Dan.
I was just thinking with Microsoft, with the Surface, the Glass, Windows RT, ARM versus Intel. You guys are always talking about fragmentation. It seems like that's kind of going to get consumers all jumbled. And then also, where are they making the money at? Is it going to be on the hardware? Is it going to be on the software side? Is it going to be like services like the music service? Or I just wanted you guys to take.
I can't imagine they're going to make money off the hardware.
I don't think the hardware is a moneymaker at first. I think it's a loss leader. I think that they want to put it out there and get some polish from it. I think it can make money. I mean, they can definitely make money off of hardware if they sell it in enough volume, and they are not spending too much to actually produce it. They will spend too much to produce it and will not sell it in volume at the outset. So I don't think that's an immediate moneymaker for them. The software will continue to be a moneymaker for them, certainly in the enterprise, not on their own.
Yeah.
Not on their own.
Well, Microsoft has they've got Dell and HP and they have the power.
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
Dell's not going to make Android laptops.
Yeah,
there is no other platform for them.
Right.
They're not going to make Mac laptops.
Yeah, Linux.
They're not going to make Linux laptops.
Right. I mean, they have too many customers who are tied in the support contracts.
I mean, you have to understand, again, it is 95% or 92%, whatever the current percentage
is. But could they go to Google, though?
And get
Chrome OS? Microsoft's doing at the moment is
Chromebooks?
They're looking at Google and they're worried about Google. If you see anything that they do, it just all follows a pattern of.
Well, I mean, who's your better ally now, Microsoft or Google?
I think you're 10 years away.
No, I'm talking about Microsoft concerned about Google. They're very concerned about Google.
Yeah, I know. They're concerned about Office and they're concerned about enterprise. I mean, you think what you think they
could OEMs go to Google?
You think to Chromebooks?
The Chrome stuff's getting fairly good, and it looks like Windows 7, right?
It's not getting that good.
If you just need a thin client to do something really basic, like you've just got your CRM or whatever it is, and it's like,
you're opening a browser.
Yeah,
I mean that's like Schmidt Stream.
It is Schmidt Stream. No, but I mean, look, we use Google Docs exclusively, right? We don't. I mean, I have Office. I open it because I open it when people send me things that I can't open elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But we're a very small, very forward-thinking business.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world where we would go back to using Office for any reason.
Yeah.
So.
But again, we're very small.
I mean, we're very small. I can't speak for
the things we need that Office provides.
Fortune 500 companies, believe me, they are far away. And I don't think pages and numbers and those are realistic to those guys at all. Like, I don't think they look at those as real productivity apps. Not at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Google is a threat.
Yeah,
Google is a threat. I have a. We're gonna have to wrap up though, unfortunately, because I have to leave. Yes.
What about that? What about the fragmentation? Introduce Surface, Glass, Windows RT, ARM, and Intel. Are consumers going to know what's up?
Well, okay. So Smart Glass is just a component, right? Xbox Music is just a component. The real fragmentation happens between the Intel and the ARM sides, right? The fragmentation happens when you've got customers who think they're getting Windows and you can't put Photoshop on it because it doesn't exist. There's no.
And Microsoft isn't making that clear even with Surface, right? They're saying Surface for Windows RT. Right. What does that mean when you walk into a store?
To me, it's a branding issue.
Yeah.
Like they could have called the Surface like Surface Metro, and then they could have called the other one like Surface Windows Pro.
I mean, they both have Metro though, but you're right though.
But you know what I'm saying?
Surface
like
and Surface
give
Pro is
it
even
a name
like an
that's
easier way to do it.
I mean, there is.
I think this will be like Windows Phone 7 series. When they hit the shops, it will be Surface and Surface Pro.
Yeah.
But they really need to drop that
regardless, Surface and Surface Pro doesn't tell a user that one literally can't run the apps that the other one can. I mean, this is worse.
Let's a user
this is worse than Android fragmentation.
Why is the Pro one better?
This is worse than Android fragmentation. This is like.
Well, we don't know that yet because we haven't really seen what what the RT apps can do.
But
we know what Surface is. We don't know what it can do.
But you know that you can't
the
go.
RT apps are exactly the same as the Intel Metro apps, right? So there's no difference there.
But we haven't seen how much potential you can do with those.
But as a user, you can't get into your browser. First off, you can't go on IE and go download Chrome for ARM because it doesn't exist. Not the desktop version.
But
they might make a Metro version.
Launch.
They might make a Metro version. But I'm saying, but you can't go to a website and say, oh yeah, I want to get I don't know. Think of a thing you might download on the internet that's a piece of software, any piece of software. Like I use Fantastical. It's a calendar utility. Like, oh yeah, I use this calendar utility for my old Windows machine. I'm going to go download that for my new Surface, Surface. And you go to the website, and it's like, sorry, not compatible with your...
But you're not going to do that. You're going to go to the Windows Store, and it's going to show you
Well,
what you
some
can
people
get.
will, but you'll also...
I think
but
I
don't just go to the Mac App Store. I still download stuff on...
But I think the idea for Microsoft is that...
Well, that's the idea.
It's the same idea for Apple, though. They're moving away from it.
And that's a wonderful dream, and I'm sure someday it'll happen. But people still do try to download stuff from the internet to use on their computer.
But they don't on the iPad.
In the same way, if you've got an iPad and you visit a link to get an iPad app, or you're just trying to get Chrome on your iPad, say, or Skype, let's say, you'll hit that link and then it'll redirect you into the App Store.
Right.
They're supporting that as well. Right?
Yeah. So that'll be helpful.
Microsoft's put code out for web developers.
It does create real fragmentation in the industry. All right, caller, thank you for calling in. We have one more on the line. I'm just gonna take this quickly. Quickly, caller, you're on the line. Give me your name. What do you want to talk about? And we have like 2 minutes, so no rush.
Sure, it's Devron, and real quick, 2 quick questions about the review. I promise to be 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, guys, hey, this is Devron. Listen, first of all, huge fan, and I always wondered when I read the reviews, first of all, we kind of know who you are, but at this point, what your voice is. So, Josh, clearly we know, what you like. We know what Nilay likes. IR Blasters, he's got this issue. And I read the reviews, and it's always from the perspective of we. Like, we like this.
No, we don't do that anymore.
No, we do reviews from... we actually stopped. We stopped after we left Engadget. We decided that we don't do reviews from the royal we. We write news from the royal we. We do reviews from a personal perspective. If you look at our reviews, they're I like this. I didn't like this. This is annoying. And if anybody's doing we, then they're fired.
Okay. One other quick point, and again, definitely appreciate all the stuff that you guys do. The gaming industry kind of went through this same review score thing. I kind of, reviewed or looked at several different outlets there, and one of the things they arrived at was just an ABC score, like a grading score. Because honestly, when you look at the numbers for a phone review, it just screams compare. And then you're talking about looking at reviews over the course of several different years. So is an 8 now the same as an 8 later? Like, right. I think you just beg for...
Well, let me stop and ask you real quick. You're saying they arrived at it, and I'm still looking at game review scores, and it's still very different metrics, very different scales.
1 to 100 or 1 to 10.
Movies still figured out. TVs do from episode by series. I mean,
I don't think it's a hard and fast one. But I will say that you're right about the comparison. What I'll say is... You got to use some of this. You got to use your head. And by the way, we're working on new iterations of our comparison tools, of our database tools, of our product and review pages. And so we're gonna have in the coming months, we'll have big changes, updates to that stuff where it's actually more effective. Part of our thing was we know that these are dated, like these are in cycles, right? And so we're going to try to find ways, we're going to hopefully find ways to combat the confusion amongst cycles, right? So like the Galaxy Nexus and the iPhone 4S are in the same cycle. The Droid Razr Max and those phones are in the same cycle. But is the Bionic in the same cycle? I mean, it kind of is, but we're going to try to find better ways. That's a big issue, actually, for everything, for anything that you're reviewing. If it's a product, it's like, how do you identify? Like, if I go to Consumer Reports and they're like, show me your refrigerator reviews, and I don't know when the refrigerator reviews are really, what refrigerator cycle they're on. No, because they release refrigerators like they release cell phones. They have every year they'll do a new set of models, but like there's no real indicator that's this year's model. So you really have to get a sense of like where you are in the timeline of these things. And I think hopefully like that's something we need to work on and everybody needs to work on. Hopefully we can find some way to solve that, because what we don't want is people going like, you gave the iPhone 4 a 10. Well, we didn't. You gave the iPhone 4 an 8 or a 9 or whatever, and then you gave this phone a 9, and they're from different eras, and the iPhone 4 doesn't have this thing, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't help anybody. You need to be able to show people where does it sit on the timeline.
I think our overall goal is to provide people with more information.
More information, not less, and let them...
And more kinds of information.
Yeah.
Right?
And to that point...
Yes.
I just want to say really quickly, I mean, we know you guys so much from the character and stuff that you've done, even dating back to the Engadget days. I almost wonder, and I know the volume of products you review probably doesn't lend to this, but can you possibly do like a two-person review for something huge? Like when an iPhone 5 comes out, people are going to, what is the Verge opinion on that phone? I would love to hear what Nilay says versus what you say, and it may be very different things. And I think this kind of forces people against that paradigm of, well, here's what the Verge said. No, here's what Josh feels about the phone.
Yeah, we've done a few
I very
of
much
those.
respect what Josh
we have done a couple of things like that.
Yeah. We did it at Engadget after the Droid came out. Remember, we did a meta review with 4 or 5 people. What was it? The N97.
I think, but the one thing, and this is, and the reason we went to the I versus the we, we entrust the people that we have reviewing things to do the job that they're paid to do, which is to provide an informative, helpful review. I think there are voices that you recognize, but a review is not. It's not empirical data. Some of it is a battery test. This is how long it went. The screen looks like this compared to the other. Here's what the display.
Right.
Those are facts, right? Those are real things. But a person's opinion is not a fact. And like I might tell you. Gruber would tell you that the iPhone 4S is without question the best phone that's ever been created. I have no doubt. That is not a fact. It is one person's opinion. And when I tell you about a phone that I like, it's not a fact. It's one person's opinion. And when Walt Mossberg or anybody, or David Pogue or anybody else out there tells you about what they think you should buy, they are not telling you that because they have achieved some sort of scientific breakdown of all of the possibilities and have come up with this one answer. We're saying it as a human being across the void to another human being. Here's my opinion on this stuff. I like this. I didn't like that. Reviews are just such gray area. I think that is the thing at the core of all of this. I'm going to be late for this meeting. At the core of all of this, reviews are gray area. And to try to ascribe a black and white mentality to them, to try to say that there must be a best and a worst, is I think a very short-sighted and very limiting view of human understanding and communication.
And that results in you publishing all caps headlines that say, "Is this an iPhone killer?"
Right.
Which
and
is like, I don't want to do
that. I believe in subtlety. I think subtlety is key to communication, to getting information, to understanding information. Subtlety is key. And to when you read our stuff, there is an appropriate level of subtlety, and there's an appropriate level of excitement.
I'll tell you that as a viewer, and I know you're going to be late, but just last thing I'll say, and then I'll go, is we definitely see the fact that over the years I've seen what you said about WebOS and stuff, and I think your opinions have kind of added to the anxiety for his opinions are pretty much in line with what I think.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear what he has to say. Well,
it's funny. It's funny. Ohm said something about how I said, first off, I said Windows Mobile was great, which I don't recall ever happening. Is a lie. And I said, WebOS was incredible when it was released. It was an incredibly exciting platform. And it's great. Hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? It's great for somebody who never said anything about it or who didn't really have to have an opinion about it to look back and go, yeah, look at WebOS. It didn't really work out that well. It actually turned out to be a pretty crappy platform. But the fundamentals of that platform, and by the way, much of what they tried to pioneer in WebOS is now becoming the norm in other platforms. Right. You hear everybody talk about adaptive, responsive design and HTML5 apps. You look at what the Financial Times is doing with a completely HTML5-based app that they've stopped releasing their app for iOS, and they're doing that, and it's actually quite good. That's stuff that was pioneered in WebOS, and when I look through the lens... Oh, it's raining? Oh, okay, great. When you look at that stuff, I stand by what I said about WebOS, And if those products had been fully realized as they should have been, I think it would be a very serious competitor to the current crop of smartphones. They weren't realized. They were, it was a company in peril, frankly. That's unfortunate. But you know what? If you can't look at something and see the potential, you shouldn't be reviewing. You shouldn't be talking about products. If you can't look at something and see what the point is and think that it's a good idea or a bad idea, I don't know what to say. But it's like, anyhow, this is all just inside baseball stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're trying to write good reviews for people that help them buy a product. And
you are writing good reviews.
This isn't. Thank you. This isn't. We're not talking about world wars. We're not talking about. There are much more serious things. We're talking about like consumer products. Do you like them? Do you not like them? That's the reality. And on that point, caller, thank you for calling in. The sky is falling. And we got to wrap up. Tom, thank you for joining us. I know that you've been stuck on Skype and just hearing us scream for the last half an hour.
Tom, what would you rate this podcast?
A 7.
7.
Really?
This is an outrage.
You are such
this
a
is an
fanboy.
outrage. Anyhow, that's the Vergecast for this week. You can get in touch with us at, you can email us at vergecast@theverge.com. You can find us on Twitter. The Verge is @Verge. I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless. Ross is Oh No Roscoe with no E on the end.
Who would use an E?
TC Sottek is, what is it, TC?
Laughing Stoic.
Oh, Laughing Stoic, right. Laughing Stoic, of course, for TC Sottek. And Tom Warren is Tom Warren, which is the best.
Yeah.
And you can, and if you want, whatever, that's the show. We'll be back next week. Thanks much for joining us. And as always, I wish you and yours the very best over this holiday weekend. It's not a holiday weekend, but that doesn't matter.
Why do you sound like Vincent Price?
I don't know.
You keep doing the goodbye. I'm going to...
Good day.
Paul.